Hey guys, and welcome to my February wrap-up video. So every month I've decided to tell you guys what movies, TV shows and books I've been watching / reading. But if you haven't checked out the first episode of this, January's wrap-up, then please go ahead and do that if you'd like to. I'll leave the link to that in the description box below. Anyway, this is February's wrap-up. So we'll start by talking about all the movies I watched in February. I only watched 5 movies. I'm more of a TV show person anyway. So the first movie I watched is Twilight and Obsession, The Unauthorized Story. Sorry, everything's backwards. I basically bought this in a charity shop a long time ago, and I thought it's about time I watched it, and to be honest, it wasn't that great. But I know that Twilight is a fandom that causes a lot of controversy anyway, but there's a really good Twilight documentary called Twilight and Forks about the real town of Forks, and it's a fantastic documentary whether you like Twilight or not. So I thought I'd give this one a go. It was very fangirly, and I was expecting good things because there was a segment on Harry Potter and a segment on True Blood, which I love. I would give this one a miss if you are a Twilight fan. It's not a great documentary, but I watched it with my mum. Then I watched Lady Jane. It's been such a long time coming. This film has been out for years, and it stars a very, very baby-faced Helena Bonham Carter, who you know I love. And it's all about our queen, one of our queens, Lady Jane Grey. People class her as a queen, people don't. She reigned for 9 days, the 9 days queen. I don't know much about Lady Jane Grey, so I thought this might be a good way to start. As far as I'm aware, it's not historically accurate. I've read bits about Lady Jane Grey since, and this is very romanticised. It's a good film, it's a nice film, but if you're looking for historical accuracy, then this probably isn't the one for you. The next thing I watched was Kingsman 2, Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Me and my dad went to see this in the cinema when it first came out, and I've finally got the DVD so I can watch it with mum. So me, mum and dad sat down and watched this one Sunday dinner. It's just fantastic, isn't it? Kingsman 2. Kingsman 1 was fantastic. A very rare thing has happened for me where I prefer the sequel to the original. That doesn't happen often for me. My love for Elton John has just heightened with this film. It's just superb, and if you've never watched Kingsman 1 or 2, then I highly, highly, highly recommend that you watch Kingsman. And shout out to Daniel because his favourite actor is on the front. And then the next thing I watched was 50 Shades Freed in the cinema, obviously the third and last part of the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. I went with my mum to watch that. I would, again, not a fantastic film, but when you're going to see a 50 Shades movie, you kind of know what you're going to see. I guess a lot of people that are going to see a 50 Shades film want to see raunch and BDSM, and the last film in particular, there's not a lot of. If you could call them raunchy films in the first place, personally I don't. There's not a lot of sex in that one, it's more story-based, but the story's not that solid to begin with, so yeah, not much I can say about 50 Shades Freed, to be honest. And the final film I watched was on Netflix, and it's David Bowie 5 Years, and it's a documentary about 5 years in David Bowie's life. I watched this with my dad, very emotional. Me and Dad are both huge David Bowie fans. Dad cares for him more than me, and it was a very, very good, very well put together documentary, so I'd highly recommend it. So that's all the movies I've watched. On to TV shows. Obviously there's a lot more of these because I am a TV lover. I've put EastEnders. EastEnders will be in every monthly wrap up because I watch EastEnders all the time. Not much to say about it. I think I said in my January wrap up that EastEnders has gone downhill a little bit, and I do stick with that. Then I watched a couple of episodes of What's New Scooby-Doo because I needed something to cheer me up, so I thought, why not watch some Scooby-Doo? I do prefer the original Scooby-Doo cartoon to What's New Scooby-Doo, but I do like them. They're just fun and light, and I think I probably watched about 5 episodes this month. Then I've put Dragon's Den. I think I put that in last month's wrap-up as well. It was the Dragon's Den series finale this month. Not much to say about Dragon's Den, it's one of my guilty pleasures. Then I have continued to watch Star Trek Discovery. Season 1, I can say season 1 because it's American, finished this month as well. So we're at a bit of a loss what to do now. Star Trek Discovery's gone. Me and Dad have been watching it every Monday, but it was fantastic. I love Star Trek Discovery. Then I finally bought and watched Dracula. Now, it stars Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, who I love to death. If he wasn't married already, you know, he's only married because he hasn't met me. Obviously it's got Katie McGrath in it as well, who most of you might know as Morgana in Merlin. She's always fantastic with everything she puts her hand to. There's only 10 episodes, one series. It's never going to be revitalised, or the chances of it are very slim. So I knew I'd fall in love with it, and I was putting off watching it for so long because I knew there was only 10 episodes and then nothing. I fell in love with it. I really have, and I want more. It ended on a cliffhanger. I want more. It's one of the best TV shows I've ever seen, actually, and there's only 10 episodes. I have now started collecting Dracula autographs for a new folder, so you might see a lot more of Dracula on this channel. There's only 10 episodes, so it's a very short binge. I would highly recommend Dracula if you haven't already seen it. A very modern take on a very classic story. Then I watched one episode of Women Behind Bars with Trevor Morgan. Trevor McDonald, not Trevor Morgan, Trevor McDonald. I do love Trevor McDonald and his documentaries and everything he puts his hand to. Women Behind Bars was very, very emotional. And then I've been watching bits of the Winter Olympics, the figure skating. Obviously the Winter Olympics is finished now. I am a huge figure skating fan, so I had to watch some of the figure skating. Then I watched the 3-part, was it BBC or ITV? I want to say ITV. The 3-part series Trauma with John Sim. It was really good. I know a lot of people slated it, but I thought it was fantastic. John Sim, again, is another one of those actors. Everything he puts his hand on, fantastic. I love him, particularly as the Master in Doctor Who. But again, that ended on a bit of a, it left more questions unanswered than anything else, and there's only 3 parts, so I kind of want the story resolved. I then watched the BAFTAs on television. Not much to say about the BAFTAs. I love watching award shows, particularly the TV and movie ones, more so than the music ones. And Natalie Dormer presented 2 awards, so there's that. I had to get her in somewhere. Then I continued watching Diamond Decades. I talked about this more in my January wrap-up. We watched the rest of the series, so that's the 50s, the 60s, the 80s and the noughties, because we'd already watched the 70s and the 90s in January's wrap-up. Basically talking about the Queen and the royal family and what was happening during those decades. Finally, for TV, I have been watching Saturday Night Takeaway. I haven't wrote it down, but I've also been watching The Voice sporadically and Dancing on Ice sporadically, but for some reason I didn't feel like they were important enough to write them down. And then on to books. We have The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. This was mentioned in a documentary that I watched a while ago, and it's believed to be one of the first Gothic horror novels of the time. So being a huge Gothic fan, I thought I have to give it a go. And it was very, very interesting. A little bit dated because it's a very old story. It's 1764 it's from, but it's still pretty good. Think of this is a precursor to Dracula, to Frankenstein, to all those wonderful, wonderful Gothic horror novels. Then I read Twilight, the Director's Notebook. This is very, very good, actually. I love behind the scenes of films and TV shows, and it's got, sort of production stills and all sorts of bits like that, behind the scenes information. Then I finally started Midnight Texas, the Midnight Texas books. I have watched the Midnight Texas series, which has been renewed for a series 2. I'm not sure how I felt about it, but I am liking the books a bit more. They are written by Charlaine Harris, who wrote the Sookie Stackhouse novels, the Southern Vampire Mysteries, True Blood, which I'm obsessed with. So this is the first book, Midnight Crossroad, which I have finished, and I'm currently reading the second book, Day Shift. There's 3 books in the series, Night Shift, which I've got just here. I am currently reading Day Shift. I'm not far into it. So this will probably be in March's wrap-up as well, hopefully, along with Night Shift, if I get them read. And the last book I read was this one, again from a charity shop, and I'm going to butcher this word. It's Doctor Who, The Time Traveller's Almanac. Is that how you say it? Almanac? The Ultimate Intergalactic Fact Finder. It's very dated now because it obviously only focuses on Tennant and a little bit before him. So this came out, I assume, when Tennant was Doctor. It's a chronological order of Doctor Who stories, dated because I think this ended with Tennant and Donna. So it starts with Gallifrey, the beginning of time, and then you've got AD 79 with Mount Vesuvius erupting. Let's just flick to The Family of Blood, which was set in 1913. and things like that. Just going through the eras. Very, very interesting. Quick read because I got through it in about half an hour. So sorry if this is a long video, but I had quite a lot to get through this month. That's my February wrap up of all the movies, TV shows and books that I've watched/read this month. Let's see what March is like. Hopefully I get a bit more done. Thank you very much for watching my February wrap up. Please let me know if there's anything I've watched or read that you have also watched or read and what you thought about it. And I will see you guys soon. Bye bye!